weather's always been unpredictable. That's the price you live near the sea, especially on the west coast. So you can have a lovely morning, and then it can be flogging wind and rain in the evening, or vice versa for that matter. So the weather's always been changeable because you're so close to the coast.
We live on an island nation surrounded by water. Our major towns and cities are built on coasts and on rivers. That means the threat of flooding is never far away. Being an island nation also makes us vulnerable to the rising seas, more intense rainfall events, and storms that come with a warming planet. The Climate Resilient Places Research Project aims to develop new evidence on the local impacts of climate change in Ireland in the form of more frequent and more damaging floods. Changing weather patterns due to climate change mean that we need to prepare for and adapt to a future with more risk. At the same time, our population is growing, and in the midst of a housing crisis, there's an urgent need to build more homes. The idea of climate resilience is to take decisions today that take account of future risks from climate change. For example, by ensuring that the homes we build, roads and other key infrastructure won't face repeated and costly flooding. Our project also investigates the extent to which decisions in the housing market and in the planning system reflect the risks from flooding.
In the Climate Resilient Places project, we simulate floods for Cork City in current and future scenarios. And we show that a 1 in 100 year flood now will look very different by 2050. The annual cost of flooding in Cork could rise tenfold according to our simulations. While climate change will increase the risk from flooding in places that are already exposed, much of the projected increase in costs is for locations that are not currently considered at risk.
The risks from flooding are increasing as a result of climate change. At the same time, new development in risky areas continues to add further to our exposure to these risks. Without concerted action in terms of investment and adaptation at a local level, the costs and disruptions associated with extreme weather events will continue to escalate.
We're going to be hugely challenged. We're at the cutting edge of the impacts of climate change. There are going to have to be some really hard and horrible conversations with people. At 25, 30, 40 year time down the road, what do we need to do? We need to talk about this. We need to have a conversation about, will this be here in 20 years' time? We need to be thinking about the infrastructure required to protect that for the future.
Creating climate resilient places will require local efforts and investments. However, affecting change requires bringing people on board, connecting the science with people's everyday lived experiences, and starting conversations about the difficult choices and trade-offs that will be faced. The concept of resilience has the potential here to act as a rallying call, as a focal point for a more positive, optimistic conversation about building climate resilient places and communities. Our project aims at taking the first steps in developing the evidence and starting the conversations that will help to underpin the creation of climate resilient places in Ireland.